Hello and welcome back to another episode of Injustice For All MMA. My name is David, and this episode is for UFC Fight Night, Santos versus Walker. First things first, above anything else, there are no injustices, so automatically, it's a great night. It's a great night when no one got robbed. Now, I want to put an asterisk on that because some of these fights were really close. We'll explain later, but they're really close. You know, they kind of, honestly, they could have gone either way. I'll explain. But obviously the ones that ended in finishes didn't matter. But as you know, these recent episodes I've just been talking about honorable mentions because, well, none of them have, no one's gotten robbed. No one's gotten stiffed, as you will. So we've just been talking about individual scorecards. And so we should get down to that. The first honorable mention is for the fight Correia versus Rosa. I scored it 30-27 for Rosa. Or Hosa. Look, I'm not gonna do accents. So I'm speeding through these because, you know, hey. Rosa versus Correia. 30-27 for Rosa. Easy fight to score. Everyone knows that. So who does the honorable mention go to? It goes for Chris Lee. All the judges had it the same except for Chris Lee. He gave a 10-8. A 10-8 in the second round. This is I don't even have to explain it. This is another example of just you adding an extra flair where there isn't. It's not needed. I remember when Bruce read out the scorecard, and instead of him saying all three judges scored it, I thought, what is going on? Well, this is an unnecessary 10-8. So honorable mention there for Chris Lee. All right, next honorable mention, Shevchenko versus O'Neill. This honorable mention is going to go to me. Okay. As you know, on this show, if you listen to all the episodes, which if you didn't, that's fine. But if you did, you would know that over time, I take responsibility because I have to check myself sometimes. Now, you will also know that I will still argue and say that I still think that I was right. I'll tell you why. So this fight ended in a TKO in the second round, but in that first round, I scored it a 10-9 for Shevchenko. The other three judges, Mike Bell, Junichiro Kamijo, and Tony Weeks, all scored it at 10-9 for O'Neill. I massively disagree with this. Now, again, I gave myself the honorable mention, so there's that. But I massively disagree with this because, like I said before, there have been so many fights, too many to count, where if you look at those scorecards, they're different. They're just different from the one for tonight. And we've seen fights like this. And I know I keep saying that. We've seen fights like this where you can count 10 fights that reflect these sort of actions. But let's just talk about this fight. Okay. In this first round, it was Casey O'Neill is looking for a takedown, right? She's getting hit. Shevchenko is out striking her on the feet. And once O'Neill finally gets the takedown, she delivers not enough ground and pound to win this round. Now, if this fight would have continued, most likely does O'Neill win this. If this goes all three rounds, for sure, whatever, but it didn't. O'Neill does not give enough ground and pound or strikes on the feet to win this round, in my opinion. Shevchenko outstruck her on the feet, and when she was on the ground, forget her being active on bottom. Just forget her being active on bottom, just to try to make my point. O'Neill wasn't active enough on top to give her the round. That's why I scored it for her. Again, it's an honorable mention for me, but that's my explanation as to why I gave it to Shevchenko. So there, honorable mention for me on that one. The third honorable mention is Solecki versus Gordan. I had this 29-28 for Gordan, giving him the last 2 rounds. Obviously, the first round is definitely Solecki's. And the judges had it. Derek clearly had it 29-28 for Solecki. Saul D'Amato also reflects my scorecard, and Dave Hagen reflects my scorecard. I'm not going to give an honorable mention here. I just wanted to shout it out because that last round was very close. I didn't put a close marker until later, but looking back at it, it's close. In my head, I disagree with Derek clearly. I think that Gordan outstruck him barely, but still, that last round is very close to where I can see someone giving it to Solecki, so I'm not mad at this one. I just wanted to highlight it, that I think this is a good split D. Second, I also wanted to mention the first round. In the first round, Solecki got a takedown. Now, his ground and pound wasn't like crazy. It was just kind of like, I would say like peppering shots. And he had a few submission attempts for about like 3+ minutes or so. I'd say 4 minutes in total, maybe. Barely. But what I wanted to mention was it had the feeling of a close possible 10-8. It was itching to a possible 10-8 if he were to hold that position. That's if he were to finish that whole round like that. But obviously it wasn't a 10-8. Just highlighting that point. All right, we go on to the next bit. Now, this is a split D that I kind of wasn't anticipating, and this one confuses me. Okay, Cirkunov versus Jotko. I hope I'm saying the name correctly. I had 30-27 for Jotko. All right, a lot of people saying that first round was very close. A lot of people were saying that the first round was very close. I disagree. I think Jotko won that convincingly, given that it was what separates them both was Jotko's leg kicks. I thought that was definitely his. But it's weird because, again, the judges, it's weird. The judges' scorecards reflect something totally different. So Saul D'Amato had it 10-9 for Jotko in that first. Dave Hagen had it 10. Dave Hagen and Chris Lee had it 10-9 for Cirkunov. And then in the second, all 3 of them agree that it was Jotko. So I think all 4 of us are in agreement there, right? It's the last round where they all kind of just go different, just like in the first round. So Saul then decides Cirkunov won the last round, and Dave Hagen. But then Chris Lee thinks that Jotko won it. I'm not going to give no one an honorable mention here. Again, the right person won, in my opinion, so I don't care. But these scorecards are so all over the place that maybe they were just like, hey, this is really close. I didn't see it that way. Again, for me, the first round, what separated them was the leg kicks by Jotko. In the second, obviously, Jotko outstruck him. All 4 of us are in agreement there, so there's that. And then in the third, here's where I think maybe philosophies part ways. I gave it to Jotko, but in that third round, Cirkunov got 2 takedowns with very little ground and pound, very little ground and pound. But Jotko outstruck him on the feet and got a takedown at the very end. I thought that was enough to win him that round. And only one judge agreed with me on that one. So again, it's another split D that that I can't really give an honorable mention for. It's just another highlight. So, there's that one. Then the last honorable mention was the main event, Santos versus Walker. This one, I'm not going to say it was hard to score. I don't, in my opinion, I don't think it was hard to score, but I will say that it was hard to watch. I think that's a fair statement. My scorecard reads 49-46. I gave the last 4 rounds to Santos, and the first round went to Johnny Walker. I think that's easy to score. Obviously, we know what happened there. He just threw leg kicks, and he outstruck him via leg kicks in that first round. The judges, all 3 judges, by the way, all have the same exact scorecard. This is what kind of confuses me a little bit. I'm a little miffed, really. But I'll explain in a second. All 3 judges have the exact scorecard, and it's all 48-47. They all have it Santos, but I'm a little confused here. So, in the second and the third, they reflect a 10-9 for Santos, as do I. That second round was very close. Very close. I lean in Santos' direction, but it was very close. So I wouldn't be mad if they had went Walker's way. Then we go to the 4th round, which is also very close. Now, this is where I might be a little confused. And I have 49-46. They have 48-47. I scored it for Santos in the 4th. They scored it for Walker in the 4th. Now, I'm looking at my notes, and that round was close again. I just wrote a close round. I gave the edge to Santos. In that second, the same thing. Close round, gave the edge to Santos. I put a close marker. So, again, I didn't mind that they gave it to Walker. This fight, Walker could have had his hand wrung, and I wouldn't have been mad. That's how close this fight was. So, I remember, if you go back into the archives, I was mad. I did call an injustice for Santos versus Rakic. I wasn't using that to reflect this scorecard, obviously, but it just shows that these really slow burner fights, how do I say this? They benefit Santos. Obviously, they're not entertaining, but they benefit him, obviously, because it worked this time, but, it benefits him. Again, no one gets an honorable mention here. I do want to say that I do get an honorable mention for that last one, for the Shevchenko versus O'Neill fight, but again, I still think I'm right on that scorecard. That's all I got for this week. Thank you for listening. I'll be back next week. Hopefully the goal is we get no injustices and an immaculate scorecard. If we can get that next week, that would be pretty cool. Well, thank you for listening, and God bless.